Elon Musk just disclosed NASA's secret discovery on Mars. What Mars discoveries has NASA's Perseverance made, and how can these discoveries impact us? The astounding discoveries Elon Musk and NASA just discovered on Mars that shock the whole space business will be revealed to you soon, so stay tuned. CEO of SpaceX, Elon Musk, expressed confidence that people will land on Mars by 2026. In Musk's words, he plans to send a crewless mission to the Red Planet in 2 years. And if everything goes well, then in 4 years, perhaps the first group of people will fly to Mars. The key to achieving the announced goals is the development of SpaceX's Starship rocket, which will simultaneously carry cargo and up to 100 people on board. Of course, Elon Musk is not one of those people who break promises. However, is there an actual probability of seeing a video with a person on the Red Planet in the next few years? Let's get right into this video. The expeditions to Mars will be genuine. It seems that expeditions to Mars will become a reality in the next few years, and then everyday life. In the last 2 weeks, several vital messages have allowed us to hope for this. The first news from NASA, U.S. National Aeronautics and Space Administration, was about an expedition that would visit Mars. However, it will not consist of people, but a rover equipped with a rotorcraft. The rover's task is to collect soil and air samples to study the suitability of the Martian atmosphere for life. The second news appeared that Elon Musk presented photos of the crewed spaceship Crew Dragon, which will transport people to Mars. And Elon Musk's company SpaceX launched the Falcon 9 rocket, which they plan to use to launch the Crew Dragon ship on a flight path to Mars. There is a crew, there is a rocket, and there is also a spaceship. So in 1.5 to 2 years, we will witness a historical event, an expedition to Mars. The expedition will be a historic event because so far, unique probes have been sent to Mars. They collected incomparably less information than NASA's rover for several reasons. First, the probes could not move on the surface of the planet and therefore collected data only from a particular area, which did not allow scientists to conclude, for example, the suitability or unsuitability of conditions on Mars for life. Let's imagine it on Earth. The probe lands on Mount Everest, where the air pressure and temperature are much lower, and scientists conclude that such conditions are all over the planet. Instead, NASA's research is up to 10 instruments that will provide comprehensive data on the atmosphere, soil, and climate of various places on the planet. Shortly after the Mars rover expedition, humans will also visit the Red Planet. According to NASA, this is planned for 2024. Therefore, Uconform decided to find out how the preparations for the historic mission to Mars were going. The life on Mars. The primary goal is to investigate whether the planet is suitable for life. In general, the announcement of sending a rover is not news, but only a confirmation from NASA of previously announced plans. After all, the U.S. Space Agency officially announced the start of the Mars rover mission, which included the launch of a rover to the planet. The rotorcraft, which the rover will be equipped with, will have propellers that will rotate at a speed 10 times greater than the speed of the propellers on the rotorcraft on Earth. On Mars, it will move on the surface in a kind of jump, rising, flying a certain distance, and descending to the ground. However, a rotorcraft can only fly for 3 to 4 minutes a day, apparently an earthly one. The main task was to make it relatively light, 1.8 kilograms, because if it were heavier, it would not be able to fly because the air density on Mars is 100 times less than that of the Earth's air. That is why the rotorcraft was equipped with small batteries, which cannot provide a relatively long flight of the device. Therefore, the batteries will have to be charged the rest of the time. How exactly? With the help of a built-in solar battery, it will fully provide energy. Despite all this, according to NASA employees, the rover will be able to collect a lot of helpful information. In particular, it will contain 8 instruments that will collect soil, air, and dust samples, measure wind speed, etc. For example, the Mars Oxygen In Situ Resources Utilization Experiment is a device that will try to produce oxygen from the carbon dioxide in the Martian atmosphere. Or there is a radar capable of studying the geological structure of the planet's surface. The significance of the mission with the Mars rover, judging by scientists' comments, is quite considerable. In particular, the American scientist and popularizer of science Bill Nye spoke in support of the Mars 2020 mission. Now we are pretty close to answering several essential questions. For example, was there life on Mars? Was there previously a lot of moisture on Mars, oceans and seas? Did life originate there and spread through space from there? And this is not an exaggeration because research conducted by scientists based on samples from Mars, collected by the Mars rover, can provide answers to these questions. A man on Mars in 2024 is real. The rocket and spaceship are almost ready. At the same time, the flight to Mars of the human expedition was announced for 2024, and preparations for it are in full swing. On May 23rd, the SpaceX company again tested the Falcon 9 rocket, which is planned to deliver a first rover to the orbit of Mars, and later a comic ship with a crew. So the Falcon 9 is a two-stage heavy launch vehicle, the parts of which are reusable. We are talking about the first stage, which starts from the ground and accelerates the second stage, which flies beyond the Earth's atmosphere. At an altitude of about 70 kilometers, the first stage undocks the second and returns to the ground. Until December 2015, engineers could not make the first stage usable after falling from a height of 70 kilometers. But now the first stage can return to the Earth. Currently, the first stages of American space rockets return to Earth regularly. The multipleness of the first stage and side boosters of the Falcon series rockets significantly reduced the cost of flights. In particular, according to Elon Musk, the Falcon Heavy rocket launch, which took place on February 7, 2018, cost $90 million, even though the first stage failed to land successfully on Earth. But the main goal was to plant the side accelerators, which the company successfully worked on. For comparison, the launch of a similar rocket from SpaceX's biggest competitor, Boeing's ULA, would cost $435 million. So shortly, flights to Mars may still lose value if it is possible to return the second stages of rockets. At the same time, the ship that will take people to Mars is already under construction. Elon Musk presented its final design, and it will be built by August of this year, when, with the help of Crew Dragon, it will be possible to send a payload to the International Space Station. So, in the coming decade, we will have the opportunity to witness what everyone has only read about in fantasy books and watched in Hollywood movies. At least you can hope for that. Although now Elon Musk and NASA are only promising a flight to Mars, there is no doubt it will happen. After all, they keep their promises in 99% of cases. The time for the Mars visit. When do you think SpaceX will land a man on Mars? In the best case, in 5 years. In the worst case, in 10, answered Musk after a 10-second pause. When the podcast host tried to clarify what factors could prevent a human from landing on the red planet, Musk said that the Starship spacecraft is the most advanced rocket ever. Now, the main challenge is to minimize the cost of putting a ton of cargo into orbit and ultimately the cost of delivering a ton of cargo to the surface of Mars. In May, Starship passed its 5th high-altitude test, and a commercial rocket flight to the moon is planned for 2023. According to NASA, a human-crewed mission to Mars is planned for the 2030s. China's space program also plans to reach Mars by 2033. Musk's company was founded less than 20 years ago, but during this time, it has strengthened its position as a leader in the field of human-crewed and crewless flights, moving towards the status of a market monopolist, writes Space.com. In particular, over the past year, the company managed to carry out 31 launches of the Falcon 9 rocket, with satellites forming the Starlink network. In about 500 million years, the Earth will become too hot for life. According to the billionaire, humanity is headed to explore Mars and establish a colony there because, in about 500 million years, the Earth will become too hot for life. He said that sounds like a very long time, but given that Earth has existed for 4.5 billion years, and for the first time in 4.5 billion years, it is possible to extend life beyond Earth. We will remind you that NASA has created a simulator of the Martian station and offers 12 willing to spend a year there. These stations will help cosmonauts and Martians get closer to flying to Mars and pass the Space Young Fighter course. Although a place in the simulator will have to be obtained through competition, it will not be free, and you will have to pay $450,000. In addition, NASA has created a site where you can follow the exploration of Mars by the Perseverance rover. Musk aims to make the Starship reusable. According to our data, Musk previously expressed hope that by 2050 there will be 1 million people on Mars. Which of these do you believe could be true? Let us know in the comments. So this was all from today's video. Make sure you hit the bell icon for upcoming videos. And if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.